Great. Well, let's get started. It's 4 o'clock Amsterdam time. Thanks for attending, maybe live, or if you watch the recording later, thanks again. Hey, welcome. Welcome to this great group of EUC community experts. We have a group called pEUC, and in total we have 50 years of work from home experience. And the idea came last week where one of the members, Rob in this case, shared the idea like, hey, what if we organize a small event and just share the experience we have with working from home? And we call it pEUC, so physical EUC community, which means once in a while we meet physically, once in a bar, a restaurant, or someone home, and then we have a chat about whatever we like to talk about. And this is a group of people right now in this EUC community. And there's, I would say, not really a rule, but we thought about it like, hey, what if you work from home, you work for a vendor and you're Dutch? Let's hang out together. And that's what we did. And that's what we do with this EUC community. So the majority of colleagues here, they will share their experiences and their tips in working from home. If you have any questions, Kees will take a look at questions. You can use the QA option in Zoom, or you can use the chat option in Zoom as well. Please feel free to ask questions, to share your experiences, to share your tips, whatever makes sense. And the end goal is to enjoy, to have fun, and also learn from each other. Alrighty, let's see. Let's continue. Many people, when we talk about working from home, sometimes you have the impression that it's like this. I have 3 kids, 2 daughters and a boy, so this is not my picture. But yeah, sometimes it feels like this, like, okay, I have a webinar, I work from home, so please be quiet. So while I'm recording, like I do right now, sometimes it's annoying, like this one, and you're trying to find the duct tape and see where you can how you can use the duct tape to make it more quiet in home. But overall, these are not the best tips. But overall, I think talking to the other colleagues, we do great on working from home. And let's share these tips with each other. Ingmar, do you want to lead the pack with your view on work from home tips?
Sure, absolutely. So again, welcome all, and I think it's great that we can all share some tips here. Working remote, working from home, especially these days, that's kind of the new normal for everyone. It's been a new normal for me for roughly 2 years now, on a daily basis. Obviously, been working from home on and off, as that's the work that we enable for the last 20 years, at least for me. And these are basically my top tips. I did a session before on this, and I basically slimmed it down. And to me, what works really well working from home and actually be productive and get my job done and stay healthy. I guess that's the biggest reason I wanted to share this are in these 3 categories. So for one, that's structure. Especially for me, I really enjoy the structure, and that really helped me. And I can see Kees laughing here. And this is actually also, to me, that's a good tip to everyone who just started working from home, who's used to working in the office or maybe, visiting customers. I definitely recommend you work office hours. This could be your office hours, it could be 9 to 5, could be, 10 to 6, or, but I definitely recommend, don't waste time in bed, even though it's very easy to just lay another hour because you're working from home, so you're flexible. But you need the hours anyway, and definitely recommend to have for yourself set an end time, so you can actually shut off and you have a good work-life balance. You can be very flexible. That's a good thing about remote working and working from home. But really be mindful of you need a work-life balance. And the balance is key here. So therefore, also take your breaks, plan some time for lunch. If you're lucky, someone else is at home. You can have lunch with him, her, or the kids. Go outside for a walk. It makes you more productive. So I really like that structure. And structure to me is also have a success list or an activity list. So make a list of things that you want to accomplish in the week. Make a list of things that you want to accomplish today, and really, either stripe them or set a checkbox like, hey, I achieved this. For one, so this is the jobs at hand, and this is the things I want to accomplish. And also, when you've accomplished them, you feel satisfied. So I think it's a psychological thing to actually, tick it off and well done. For me, I'm reading a book. For those who can see it on the webcam, it's called the Pomodoro Technique. So it's a book I actually got from my manager. Not sure if there was a hint, but I really enjoy reading it. And basically, it's a 20-year-old technique where you set set a timer, 25 minutes, red tomato or Pomodoro. Whenever it's done, it rings, and then you go do something else. Don't focus on work. Those 25 minutes is focused on work, and the rest you don't. And that works for me. So the second tip is visibility. So normally you would be in an office. When you work from home, you don't. So show what you do, either in a Slack channel or an email. Make sure people see what you do. For one, so people value what you do, and also people are aware what where your strength is, and etc. Connect with other people. Make sure that I recommend reach out to one coworker, even if you don't know them, once a day, and at least stay connected, because otherwise you start feeling lonely. And dress for work. You can see me here wearing a normal business suit, and I know that's kind of weird. I'm one of the only one doing it, but to me that's a psychological thing. I go to work, so I wear to work. When I turn on the webcam, I'm fine. I'm properly dressed. There's no pajamas whatsoever, so that's fine. And yes, I do like webcams because it builds trust. It's a more human touch, so that's what I do. And lastly, the third tip to me is invest in quality. In quality chair, quality desk, quality webcam, quality audio. I've got a big microphone over here. Have the right equipment so you're not disturbed by anything. And I will get back to that in the next picture. Definitely recommend, if you can, no, that's all right. Make it facing outside. And you can see a picture here of my setup as it is today. I have two very big monitors, 40-inch. One is my desk. And the other one is actually, I've got the baby cam and the camera outside. So when the package arrives, I can see it. Yes, the pink car is of my wife. It's not mine. Great for advertising. But you can see it's fairly clean desk. I can focus on the things that I need to do. I got good audio, so that I got a good microphone. This is just how I can work really, really well. And then what really works for me is having the gadgets. Wireless charger, so I'm not fiddling with cables. I've got the Griffin PowerMate, so I can very easily change the volume. There's a small USB hub in the back of my desk, so I can connect whenever I want to. Very easy. Power things. I actually kind of planned. Very small. It's kind of fake, but still it's green. It works for me. And the last best tip for me is the Stream Deck. So I got the Elgato Stream Deck. You can see the Pomodoros there, a red one, a green one, so 25 and 5 minutes. But also there's a do not disturb button. So I can very easily mute everything. I can focus on my work for the 25 minutes and then I go off. Control my audio, open up Crunchbase whenever I want to, open up Facebook whenever I want to. And then, that's that. These are my top tips. And sorry, I didn't make it in the 3 to 5 minutes. So
no worries. Oh, good. Thanks for sharing. Good stuff. I like the connection to the plastic plant as well. I'll talk about that a little bit later.
Good.
Hey, it's your turn. I think you're muted, so yes.
Yep, one of the top tips, right?
Every
Make sure you unmute
conference call.
Sign language.
Yeah. No. I was double muted. Is that on the bullshit bingo list or?
I don't know.
So no,
It should be.
Your clock is ticking, so all good.
Yeah, okay, I'll be fast. So my name is Jits Langerijk, Senior Solutions Architect Visualization at NVIDIA. I've been working at NVIDIA for approximately 1.5 years. So I think out of this audience, I'm the only one without a physical office in the Netherlands. So I have to work from home. There's no option for me to go to an office in the Netherlands. Then again, there are some offices, of course, in the UK and Germany. So I could travel, but part of a few community initiatives and programs. But of course, we're here for the next slide. And what I just want to share with you, because you will see a lot of good tips, maybe a lot of the same tips as well. But what works for me is at least to have a dedicated office space. So one of my rooms in our house is just an office where I have a standing desk and a sitting desk, where both myself and my wife, especially now, my wife can also work out of home, and we don't have to bother each other, although I just send her off to a different room, of course, to do this recording, but have a dedicated office space. So you physically go into a different room where you can really focus on work. And as I said, I have the luxury of having multiple desks in my home office, so I can switch around between a standing desk and a sitting desk. And maybe to repeat Ingmar's message, get out, and if you really want an encouragement to get out, well, get a dog. And I know Ruben recently adopted a dog, so he has a good reason to go out more and more. Yep. So the little black animal, that's a dog. Yeah, it's a little bit smaller than the
it looks like a guinea pig to me. Oh, it doesn't. Yeah, no, it is not. No, you're right.
Yeah, so it's a little, it's a medium schnauzer. Yes, it's a medium. It's not even a dwarf schnauzer. So, but there's one thing that really, and Ingmar mentioned this as well, right? For me personally, it's very important to get satisfaction out of my work. And the first thing on my first job interview with my current manager, and back then the hiring manager, was, well, he told me, be reassured, you will get to bed every day with a guilty feeling that your work has not finished, especially when you're working for an organization based in the US, different time zones, and it's just 24/7. So whenever you have this satisfaction that you cleaned your entire mailbox, which I gave up on I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 days or 1 week or something, immediately when you wake up, you will see that there's a complete new list of things to do on your schedule. And I think for me, what the most important part here is, and I've put this picture of this, I've seen this YouTube video, and probably you all have seen it maybe in the past couple of years or so, where this philosophy one-on-one introduction, this professor addressed the classroom and asked him, whenever I have a jar and I fill it up with golf balls, is it full? And of course, no, you can still fill it with some little rocks, and it's still not full. And you can fill it up with some sand, and in the end, you can even fill it up with some fluids. He actually uses Coronas to pour into the jar, but. So, and of course, this is more like an analogy to explain what is important for you in life to be happy, or maybe to be successful, if that's what makes you happy. But this also applies to, at least for me, how I do and how I organize my daily work day. So, of course, you need to focus on the big things, the golf balls. But whenever you start with all the little small things, there's no room for the golf balls anymore. They won't fit into the jar. So make sure to do a proper planning, to work on the big things, get your satisfaction out in getting things done, or as some of us in the call always mention, get shit done. So this is just my takeaway. Make sure that you have a structure within your day. Start from with some easy tasks in the morning, maybe to get the satisfaction, get you up and going, and maybe you can repeat this in the afternoon, and maybe at 5, 6, 7, or whatever time your working day ends, you have this feeling of satisfaction that you actually accomplished something. So that's my
good. Yep.
My takeaway.
I like this
on
this one. Always time for a beer with friends, although virtually, for the pEUC community, but still, like I think we scheduled a virtual meeting for the first time in a couple of weeks from now to do on a Friday afternoon beer o'clock through Zoom. We'll see how that works. Well, hey, Casey, you want to share your view?
Absolutely. The good thing about this virtual meeting that we're planning is that we actually can all drink versus some of us not being able to drink because we have to drive somewhere.
Yep.
So if we end up all drunk, it's probably because of this coronavirus out there. So if you could, so these are my tips from working from home. Like most of us, since I've joined Nutanix 5.5 years ago, working from home was my new standard, and this is basically what I've been doing. Keeping your agenda up to date helps scheduling meetings, especially remote ones. That might be very obvious, but it's if you have that, and I think it's referring back to the structure that Ingmar was already talking about. If you have structure for yourself, you know when to start scheduling meetings, but also towards your spouse or your better halves and kids. It helps if they know when you're on the phone, when you're calling, so they can be a little bit more thoughtful of the noise production that they have, and make sure to set expectations. Make sure that people realize that you're doing these back-to-back calls and that you need to have some certain times in your day where you can actually be productive. And this is one that I learned via the hard way, is schedule time for bio breaks as well. Because having 8 hours of, and I see all of you guys laughing, so it must be true in a certain way. If you schedule back-to-back meetings, it's kind of hard to step away and walk downstairs and get something to drink, or walk to the kitchen, or do a short bio break. So make sure that you have some time every once in a while to do these things. One thing that really worked for me is blocking off family time. So as my role covers global, I help support APJs or APAC, I help support EMEA and the US. There's 24/7 work. So if I want, I could work anytime, any moment of the day. But what I do is I block from 5 to 8 p.m., which is right around dinner time for us. So I can have dinner with my wife and kids, and get them showered and get them ready to bed and put them into bed. And after that, I'm ready to go again. And that kind of helps with the expectations of colleagues and customers as well. And then don't be shy there. Lunch with your kids or your spouse. We all do it, and it makes that we get bonus points for having for working late evenings or weekends. Just take advantage of the fact that you can actually have that lunch with your spouse, your better half, or the kids. And again, it's like Ingmar said, prepare like it's a normal day. And I realize that normal might be different for every one of us. But have your breakfast, drink your coffee, walk the dogs, or get a dog like Gitz did, and Ruben. I'm not sure who's setting the example there, but somehow everybody's getting a dog nowadays. I wonder when Pim is going to get himself a dog, because he only owns a really big cat. But follow your normal routine, prepares you for the upcoming day. So if you do the things that you normally do, you prepare yourself for a working day. If you rock up in your pajamas and not brushing your teeth and not combing your hair and do all those things, then you might be too laid back and not focus on what you need to do. And the last one is, don't stress too much. We're all in the same boat, especially with the current situation. Most of us have dogs, kids, or other distractions, and we're used to it. So make sure that that you don't stress it, that you're everybody knows that we're in this situation together. So just have fun and make the most out of it. And now, my number one tip is, there's no such thing as too much screen estate. I know that Ingmar claims he has big screens. This is on the left side, you'd see my 43.3-inch widescreen monitor. On the right side, it's my 40-inch curved monitor that will be placed up against my wall when the timing is right. So there's never ever too much screen estate. And the last one, if we look at anecdotes and tools that we use. I was once in a conference call with a UK-based customer, which got abrupted halfway due to a fire drill at the customer's site, which was very interesting to have happen, because at that point you hear a noise, people start standing up, rumbling, and they leave the room, and you're just sitting there going, "What just happened?" And it's just one of these things that you have to see for yourself and gonna go through. Last couple of things: invest in your Wi-Fi, because your kids will hate you. If you have kids, your kids will hate you if the Wi-Fi is down. So that ensures a little bit of you time. Make sure the internet connection is decent. Use all the communication tools that you have available. So for me, that's WhatsApp, Slack, Twitter, email. I don't really care. I just use whatever handy at that time. I've got Citrix desktops and multiple DCs. And as a manager speaking, I do a lot of Excel and PowerPoint.
Good. Wow. Good timing. Thanks for sharing. Wim, this is yours, right?
With unmuting. Yeah, thanks.
I remember this one. Yeah, nice as you.
Yeah, you've seen it, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, quick introduction. My name is Pim van der Vis. I work at VMware as a solutions architect, and I joined through an acquisition about 5 years ago. And ever since, I have been working from home. So a little bit more information. I'm married. I've got 2 kids, 5 and 2 years old. And typically, I can work in peace and quiet. But now that they're at home, there's a little bit more distraction. But as you can see, I do have a separate room. So that's definitely one of the benefits. If you work from home regularly, I recommend to have a separate room because that way you can keep your kids and distractions easily outside, but also close from work when you're done. So it's easier for me to leave during the evening and not return, to actually physically leave work behind in that room. I'm not going to focus on the hardware in this session. As you can see, I've got a pretty nice setup. There's always things on my wish list. I would like to have a large curved screen, maybe a separate microphone so I don't need headsets all the time. But I'd rather spend that money right now on Legos because, as you can see down in the picture, I do like building Lego sets, and that's a good bridge to the next slide, because a couple of the tips I have is how to stay mentally fit, and one of the things is to get a hobby, have something outside of work that gives you satisfaction. As Jits already mentioned, it can be hard to get satisfied working from home because you are physically remote and don't have physical contact with colleagues or customers all the time. But I get a lot of joy out of a hobby. It could be building Legos, but it could also be gardening, painting, playing a musical instrument, whatever. But that's definitely very good to have. And cabin fever is actually a real threat when working from home. The symptoms that you could develop are nausea, anxiety, even depression, also food cravings, drinking a lot. And that's actually what I learned when I was on summer holiday last year in Sweden with my family. I spoke to a couple of locals because I was wondering why they only have light beers in the supermarkets. And it's very hard to get alcohol. And if you can get it, it's so expensive. But that's because during the winter, Scandinavian countries don't get a lot of sunlight. People stay inside because it's cold, and they can actually develop cabin fever. And a lot of people started drinking, so there was a lot of alcohol misuse or abuse. And that's why the government is so heavily regulating alcohol in these Scandinavian countries. So that it's definitely the next step to prevent this. Get some sunlight and get out of the house. So I like to exercise outside of the house. I go for a run, go for a walk. I don't have a dog. I might start training my cat to walk on a leash, but I definitely like mountain biking, so definitely going outside. And the good thing is, because I work for a vendor through different time zones as well, is that I can plan my own day. So I can easily go out during the morning to do a run or some exercising and then work through the evenings. So one of the tips is also, that works for me at least, is to shift working hours. I don't feel, I don't have a problem with spreading my working hours and working during the evening. Specifically now with the coronavirus, everybody has to work from home, but has kids at the same time. So during the day, work can be hard because you have a lot of distractions. That's why I block hours during the evening to spend time with family, have dinner, bring my kids to bed, and then do some more work during the evening. But of course, also make sure to keep at least a couple of evenings free for yourself, for family time, spending time with your wife, etc. One of the things I also like to do is socialize, very important, not just through Slack and email, but also create lunch appointments with friends, colleagues, family, whatever. Because I can schedule my own hours, it's easy for me to schedule a lunch break during the day, just visit somebody at work or wherever, but get outside the house to at least get some social interaction with other people in real life. That might be a little bit harder now with the coronavirus, of course, but once that's done, that's definitely one of the best practices. And also read a book. Ruben is after me. He shares some book tips regularly on social media. He might have a couple of good tips during his session, but also do something else. And those books don't have to be work related, could also be just fiction or stories or whatever you like. So then the next slide, some final tips that I like to do. First of all, use the mute button. The mute button is your friend. Even if you're on one-on-ones, if you're not talking, it's very easy to mute. Specifically in larger groups, just default mute yourself and unmute whenever you want to talk. And what I like to do is in larger group calls, when we're discussing roadmap information or information is being shared, I like to do some multitasking. So I have a pair of wireless headphones and I like to cook dinner or do some other simple tasks. Should not be too hard because you need to keep your brain focused on the call. But if you're just listening on a call, I like doing some starting with preparing food or preparing cooking, because that's typically my time when the United States wake up in the morning. They like to schedule some meetings, but that's my evening or the beginning of the evening where I would like to or I need to cook dinner. So that's definitely something I like to do.
Yep.
So there you go.
Good stuff. Thanks. Hey, Remco, your turn. You want to share?
Yes, and I even did not forget to press the unmute button. So interesting stories, and I'm recognizing so much of what the other speakers are saying, even though we didn't really look at what is everyone saying. This slide I'm using now is something I use for introductory, and when I recorded it, there was a Skype pop-up, which reminds me to say that it's actually in the video, but when you are screen sharing, a separate monitor is ideal because it will not have any of your pop-ups and notifications. So that was not one I intended to speak about, but it just reminds me.
Yep.
But let's get this thing started. So normally I would say my home is my castle, but in my case, even though AWS have offices in the Netherlands, I usually don't work there. In fact, I've never been there, to be honest. I've been to offices in the UK because this is where most of my team is. The larger team is in Seattle in the US. So my home is my office. And to give you an idea, this is what my office / home looks like. It's a nice and sunny day here. It's a bit fresh with the wind, but it's nice. And this is a view from my back garden. And if you look at the arrow I pointed out, that used to be my office. It no longer is. It's now a storage / hobby room. So there's all kinds of stuff in here, ranging from old Amigas. There is a car navigation system that I'd like to hack, some old board games and other various junk which should be cleaned out. There's a good reason why this office is not my office anymore, but we'll talk about that later. So this is my office today. So I'm just working in my living room. Fortunately, I have a separate, well, it's not really, it's connected, but I have a separate dining room where I'd like to sit and, some of the stuff that's typically on my desk, besides all the rubbish that I took away for taking the picture, is my keyboard, my monitor, my iPad, my notebook, and my headset, but more about that later on. Why I like to sit downstairs, because I'm close to the coffee. I'm a coffee junkie. So I take various sorts of coffee, Citrix coffee, VMware coffee.
Which one tastes better, or doesn't matter?
I would say
I know that answer.
in early days, Citrix coffee was definitely better. I would say that VMware has done a great job in making coffee too. So I would say both are good coffees right now. If we're talking about, essential items, I've sort of made a list of things that I use in my setup. Obviously, you need a good monitor. I've seen some really cool layouts in the other people's office setups. I'm just using a single one because I work in my living room. It's easier to tuck it away. For this, I'm using a monitor arm. And the reasoning behind this, if you could move to the next slide, Ruben.
Yep.
When I'm not working, I can tuck it away, which means that, the area is available to have dinner, lunch, or I said here for fun, it's not a meeting room, but actually it could be a meeting room. It also means, and this is one of the things I like to do, a dedicated place to where you work in your house. So even though you could work anywhere, I could work in the garden, I could work in the couch. But this gives me I'm stopping my work for today. I'm chucking the monitor to the wall. Now I can do other things. And if I want to, I can continue later on. But then it needs some effort from me to switch back to working mode. And this prevents for me the pitfall of working continuously, working always and everywhere. So this is one of the reasons why I like to put it away. A good desk might be ideal in my living room, but I think desks in living rooms are ugly. So this is my sort of in between. I think it's also important to have some good lighting. I have used IKEA smart light bulbs. I'm sure that, the more expensive ones would be even nicer, but they work for me. It means that I can change the lighting to, a good strong light when I'm doing work. But when we're having dinner, I can make it a little bit more less officey and, give it a more yellow light or less intense. So I use the IKEA ones. They're cheap and they work. I'm sure that someone like Kees will tell me they suck and that you need the better ones. But hey, you're at McDonald's and I'm not. Proper keyboard and mouse, I think that's really important. I'm using the Microsoft wireless keyboard with fingerprint thingy. It's not really working well with my virtual garden, so I should probably keep it like this. Some people like these really game keyboards, which make a lot of noise. So when you're trying to do some things like multitask in a meeting and you're madly typing away your keyboard, I'm not going to name anyone like Andrew Morgan. So you might want, more quieter keyboard if you like to multitask. I think good Wi-Fi has been highlighted by other people before. Good quality headset has been mentioned. And I think it was also mentioned, I like a wireless headset because it enables me to stand up, have a bit of a walk, especially in longer times meeting where you're just sitting on a chair. It also enables me to get another VMware or Citrix coffee.
There's a question for you, Remco.
Finally, webcam. So obviously, a webcam is preferred.
Yeah. So Remco, are you still there?
It strikes me that many people are using, like the cheap webcam that came with their laptop. So my final tip for this would be invest in a good webcam, a good high quality one. I never watch SD content, so why should my viewers need to watch SD content? So
hey Remco,
go out
quick question, Remco.
Yes.
I think Pim had a question through Zoom for you.
Well, yeah, I saw a question in the chat. Sean Corey was wondering whether that's a zero or thin client on your desk.
It's a docking station and a laptop, to be honest.
Okay. That's good. So that way you can remove the laptop and leave the docking station on the desk.
Yes. So I think if you go one slide back, you can see the desk again, Ruben.
Yeah, this one.
Yes. Yeah. So I'd like to get something more fancy where I hide the docking station under the table or something, or make a nice box for it. But at the moment, I just plug in my laptop and that's it.
Hey, Remco, the screen that I have is just connected via USB-C. So basically, my screen is my docking. I can just plug in USB-C to my my laptop. It powers my laptop. I've got a wireless mouse and a wireless keyboard. So I'm done with that. Done with all of that. So that could be an option as well.
Yeah, I do have USB-C on my monitor. It also powers my laptop. What I'm kind of disliking is when the monitor goes to sleep, which is good for power consumption. My laptop doesn't get power anymore, and when I come back, I need to start things again, and my docking station doesn't do this, so it's just laziness, I guess.
Hey, Remco, looking at the slides, so why did you move the original office? You mentioned it before.
Yes, there was a very good reason for it, and I think the next picture will give it away a bit. But I used to have this big, insane trampoline in my garden for the kids, and when I sat in my office, they would always try to jump as high as they could, and then they would wave to me at the window and shout like, "Hey, Dad! Hey, Dad! Hey, Dad!" And then, you know, when I was doing webinars and conference calls, I tried to ignore them, but you really can't, you know, because they're having fun, they're laughing, and they're waving at you. So sometimes I would wave back, you know, hoping they would stop and not make more noise. And then recently they told me it was actually a game they used to do with the three of them. So whoever got me disengaged from my work first would win the game.
Yeah, good stuff.
So, you know, even though there could be bigger screens, more technology, you know, whatever I have today, it works for me and I'm happy with it. Besides that, and I think, you know, many of the tips already passed by, and this is, you know, get a routine for yourself, see what works for you, and don't forget to socialize and meet other people. We're in different times today. So I started Skyping with friends as well. I'm kind of enjoying it, to be honest. There is an add-on for Chrome called Netflix Party. So you can actually watch a Netflix movie with friends and have a chat together and make sure that you watch the video at the same time, which is kind of fun.
I think you can even simultaneously put it on pause for bio breaks, right?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like, you know, that even though we're in difficult times, new initiatives, new things pop up, and you know, bad things sometimes also bring some good things. So let's try to leverage those and get us through the bad times, and then go to good times again.
Yep, I totally agree. Focus on the good things. There are, I think, many things where we can, even like small things, like maybe the sun is shining, or nice plans, or walking the dog. Stay positive, especially these days, is important, and everyone has his own view on that, which is totally fine, of course. But yeah, it's easy to if you just read the news on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, then negatively can kick in as well. Alrighty, let's move on. So I want to share my work from home tips. I work from home full time, I think 5-ish years, and prior to working for two vendors, I worked at PKR, and working from home was also common. So this is what I created. So one slide with my different tips. Many of them already were mentioned by the other friends and colleagues. So routine, for me, during the week, I start early or earlier, like 8:30, and I end late, 10:30, 10 o'clock is pretty common for me. And in between, I do gym, walk the dog twice, lunch, dinner. That's how I operate. I try to block the weekend not to work. Not that easy. Work and hobby is strongly connected to me. I like IT. I like to geek out and investigate stuff and spend time there. So not that easy. Also, when you start your workday, do the challenging tasks first. Don't start. And that's also a message to myself. Don't start with social media first, because you will for sure waste 1 hour by just trying to catch up on social media. I think Kees mentioned it as well, like block notifications, close social media, use the Elgato Stream Deck to mute. I think Ingmar mentioned that. Also, you don't see it right now, but in the back of this work from home office is a glass board. It's not like the typical whiteboard, but it's actually nice looking. It's glass and aluminium. It's pretty old school. You use pens, and what I do is I write down my tasks, my goals for that particular day. And that's not a list of 20 items. It's just 1 or 2 or 3 items I want to get done for that particular day. That's where I use this glass board and my to-do list for that. Right now I'm standing. I use an adjustable desk. I roughly spend 80% of my time standing behind my desk, and it gives me just more energy. It helps me to stay energized, and it's an investment. Can be expensive, but it's worth the investment. Other colleagues mentioned make sure you have dedicated office space. I think all are in the position to have a dedicated space. But if you're not able to have a dedicated space, then I would say use a space like Remco. Pick a place and mark that place as, okay, this is my work from home, my office space, so that you know, like, hey, this is my place, and mentally you're prepped to go to the office. Air quote. I like clean up space. For me, clean in I would say clean in head is clear mind, or clean desk is clear mind. That's how I operate. So I like to have a clean office space, no clutter, organized, comfortable, well set up. Different people mention that. Spend money on buying the right gear, monitor setup, headset. I have 2 lights in front of me. You can see it on the picture as well. That's I think it's money well spent. And also investigate internally in your organization if you can expense that as well. Many organizations have expense policies also for work from home. So investigate and ask your manager or ask your peer, like, hey, what is common and what can be expensed, or what's the policy for that? Keyboard and mouse external, much more productive for sure. I use multiple clocks because I indeed, as Kees and other colleagues, work in multiple time zones. I like it to look ahead and, hey, this is US East, US West, this is Europe. Just always handy for myself. Also handy is move all the noisy stuff out of the room. So servers, NUCs, although they can be pretty quiet, networking gear, switches, whatever can make noise, I move that stuff out of this space. And if I really want, I can have a noisy, a quiet, so no noise environment. Although with kids downstairs, I have 3 kids and a dog. Yes, it can still be some family noise. Not a bad thing, but sometimes it's great to create your own cocoon. That's where I use the Bose headset to create my own cocoon, and then you get into the flow if you want to write a white paper or whatever makes sense. Video calls also mentioned. Camera always on. Also make sure that you dress up. So dress lazy is work lazy. So dress up how you normally would do, and that works. That works for me. Exercise often, can be even like in this room. You have an app, 7-minute workout, 7 minutes, simple workouts, no gear needed, just your own body weight, and good to go. Buy a dog, as Jits mentioned, or do exercise and walk the dog. That's what I do. Let's see. Finally, block time in the agenda so that other colleagues know that you're not available. Could be lunch, could be dinner, could be gym, could be whatever you think is handy. And block time is important. Do not disturb, can be a light, can be a button, can be a closed door, so that the colleagues, so that your peers, family members know that, okay, Ruben, Kees, Ingmar is in a meeting, do not disturb. And if they disturb, then it's something urgent is happening, and then we need to spend time there. And finally, also block time in the agenda to spend time on non-work related stuff. Could be reading a book, can also be technology, investigations, home lab, blogs, whatever related. That is also very, I think, very helpful. Well, right, that's roughly 5 minutes for me. And I think, Rob, if you can unmute and share your tips.
Unmute now.
Hey, Rob.
So, hey, I've heard a lot of great things already. So what am I going to add? I also have, if you can see on the right-hand side, a whiteboard. glass board to write on. I think it looks quite great. I have a light board also. Sometimes I create videos to explain things to colleagues. But first, I work at Citrix now for 2 years, and before that, I worked at a consultancy firm where Ruben also worked, and Jits worked, and Sven worked. So we worked at home more often, but since 2 years, I work at home 100%. This year, it's going to be 100% if all events are cancelled. And I support sales colleagues around the world. So it's in the morning I start with questions from Asia, from Japan, and so on. And it goes on until the evening that the US has come on. So I put some points there, but I want to say also, I saw a comment already about the mic. That's correct. I also have something I did unplug. I have hearing aids, and if you are in a meeting with hearing aids, it's quite difficult to hear everything. So you need devices and stuff like that. So buy good gear. I cannot buy a headset because that makes my hearing aids sing. But buy good gear that you can hear everything. A few other things that I heard that I did not write on my slides, I made the most simple slides possible, is that don't stress about being behind your desk for 8 hours straight. I have my neighbor is working now at home for the first time, and he was stressed after a week. He was sitting in the morning at 8:30, and he left his desk at 5 o'clock because he thought that was the way you should do that. And I said, like, but you are just doing a job. You are not there to spend 8 hours behind the keyboard. If you can do your job better in the evening when the kids are asleep, then do that. I have older kids. My kids are 18 and 21, so I have different things to worry about. I lost my work desk for 2 days because my daughter had to do something for university. I got it back today. So these are small things, and then it's the rules that I wrote down. Write it down. That's what I do on the whiteboard, because if you don't write down what you should be doing, then you lose the information. I do at least. Discipline and environment beats motivation. So really, I wake up at 7:30 in the morning. I walk the dog. I have a dog. I didn't buy one now, but I have a dog already. I walk the dog at 7:30 in the morning. Then every other day I bake a bread, and while that bread is rising and baking, I'll just go through emails and questions, and I go through the day. And around 2 o'clock, quite often I go for a run, and I rather work after dinner than that I work after 3 o'clock, because that's more like then the family comes together and I have a coffee and I start to bake something or make some dinner. And support your team, of course. Yeah, the other one. Watch your energy levels. So don't miss meals. Get a drink. Get a coffee. If your wife is at home, your kids are home, get a drink with them, because you're traveling, you're working in the evening, you're busy all the time, but you need your family also. So don't think like I cannot do a coffee at 10 in the morning or something like that. There's nothing wrong with doing a coffee at 10 in the morning. If you would be in the office, you would also have a coffee with your coworkers. So I mean that's exactly the same. And cabin fever, like Pim said, that's a real thing. You need to get out. Need to make sure that you drink enough, that you stay healthy, and your mental health is important. So although we cannot go out there, you can still talk to your neighbor, maybe virtually, maybe across your lawn or something. But talk to people. Make sure that you're healthy. I'm also reading a book. I'm not that kind of book. I'm doing a book about the brief history of tomorrow. It's really interesting inside things I'm trying to read, but well, sometimes it's just.
It's a brief history of tomorrow. Is the title? Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, really interesting. Also in this time. And one thing I had to tell my dad that working at home is also work. My dad would just call me up or drop by for a coffee, just like I'm in the middle of a meeting. I'm here for a coffee. Like he's a construction worker. He doesn't understand anything about computers and what we do. So when I'm home, he thinks I'm on a holiday.
Hey guys, it looks like there's a theme, right? Because I think all of us, or almost all of us, we have a dog.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Sven, if he has a dog. Didn't know. You have a cat. Well, that's a big cat. It's almost a dog.
It depends on your definition of a dog, though.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right.
Hold it.
Pretty sure case dog doesn't qualify as a dog.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's
Are
like
those even legal case in the Netherlands?
I mean, let's be honest. If you guys are talking about workouts, try walking my dogs, and you'll get a real workout.
Yeah, and then imagine you have a couple of these, right?
I've got two new for the people who are listening in. I've got two Newfoundlands. The smallest one of the two is around 54 kilos, and the other one is around 67 kilos. So they're reasonable sized dogs. They're not tiny as the medium schnauzers that Jits has.
Yeah,
so basically the dog
them,
walks
right?
you.
Sorry, you say yes?
Well, Case mentioned it's a real workout getting those dogs out of the house. So, but my dog just walks himself, right? So I don't have to carry him.
Well, my dogs walk me instead of the other way around.
Right.
Hey, back to
you were asking about Sven, Ruben.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if Sven had a dog, but if that's the case, then I think
I don't need a dog to get my ass out of the house. I just go out for a run.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, with the marathons, there are no marathons to train for.
Yeah.
No, that's true, but I can still run.
Hey, back to the topic. That's okay. Any questions, feedback, happening special things in the chat? I didn't take a look at that. I was focusing on this part, but anything special?
There's a couple of people mentioning their docs, their screens. William had a good tip about the Synergy app where you can have one keyboard and mouse for multiple systems. The rest is, as you'd expect, quite technical in terms of equipment that we have. People with sort of a speaker device, so the Jabra Speak or the Plantronics Callisto. They're portable speakers that you can use for conference calls as well. So most of them are very useful tips around additional gadgets, which you would expect with a crowd like the people in the EUC community, because we're, let's be honest, all kind of gadget freaks.
Yep. It's all, I wrote it down as well in another blog post around this topic. Like, this is a great excuse to buy/expense all the good stuff. Because, well, it's all that's what you need, right? To be productive, you need to have nice gadgets like a Stream Deck or Elgato green screen or 2 lights in front of you or a good microphone or an extra laptop, or like pick your topic and then use the work from home sauce. Like, hey, I need this for work from home, and then you're good to go.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Anything else, guys?
I'm gonna walk the dog.
Walk the dog. Yeah, well, yeah. Why not? That's the benefit of working from home. It's much more flexible.
Ruben?
Yep.
We just got another question. What technical challenges your clients, customers are facing now with this, now shifting to enable work from home task force? Or can we share your past experience as remote work is not new?
He works for Citrix.
Yeah, so I think my personal summary is that the technology side is not a challenge. It's more like the mental and managing expectations side is more challenging. It takes time to adjust to have a different rhythm in working from home. All the tech stuff, Wi-Fi, just spend time and money to buy the right equipment. And that's Wi-Fi, that's screens, that's laptop, that's lights, whatever it is. The mental topic, like getting used to work from home. Sometimes even like if you normally drive back home, the time it takes to drive back, like 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever the time is, that's not the case anymore. If I close the door and walk downstairs, in 15 seconds I'm downstairs, and then like I'm back in family business. So there's no time to mentally wind down. That's also like you need to get used to that. I did get up an interesting story that someone could not get used to that because he was used to work in a remote office and then like spend 30 minutes and drive in the car back to home. So he really spent time. He was working from home and he picked the car. He spent 10 minutes in the car just driving around, and then he parked the car entering the home for the first like 2 months to get used to that rhythm. That did not happen to me, but yeah.
Remco, is that you?
Remco does like his car. I mean, I do get that. That's why I said, work office hours. If you just got started on this, take your regular, whatever works for you. Even though you don't have to work from 9 to 5. You don't have to be at your desk. But if that works for you,
Yep.
So I was also going to say, us being tech guys, we love to throw even more technology to make stuff work. But one of the challenges I've seen is that we have simply too many. So, during a normal workday, you probably use Zoom, WebEx, GoToMeeting, Skype, Slack, Chime.
Can we please mute Remco now?
15 other tools. Sorry, can I have 2 cheeseburgers, please?
No, wait 1 minute. 1 minute. The question was also on what the technical challenges our customers or clients are facing today with this shift towards work from home. So not only us, right? But a lot of our customers, and as Rob mentioned, a couple of us worked at this consultancy organization, enabling organizations to work from home. So, and obviously now when everyone is forced to work at home, there is a increased demand on resources from a central virtualized location, right? So I don't know, I can't speak for you or for the rest of us, but from my point of view, I see, well, all of a sudden it's much more busy nowadays. It almost looks like everyone is getting more productive now working out of home, or maybe just ramping up working from home and all of a sudden, I don't know, working 150% or something. But we see a lot of increased demand on getting this new VDI infrastructures, for example, or maybe just physical laptops being shipped out to people at home just to stay productive for their organizations. And I don't know, do you see the same?
Yep, big time.
I'm surprised that most of the cloud services are holding on so good. Of course, there are some disturbances, but most of the cloud services keep on running, and that really surprises me. And that's what I see, is that most customers first now start using cloud services because that's available instantly, because it takes far more time to order new hosts, deploy them, etc., and get your new VDI infrastructure up and running. So this might be.
We're seeing cracks in public cloud already, right? So if you look at, I think Azure already showing some customers trying to ramp up new services that the data center or the region is full. So we need to be careful, because who would have thought cloud is just somebody else's computer? So there is a certain limit to where the reach of those data centers are, and I know that we might, like, I might be speaking before my term, because we've got Remco on the call, who probably works for, or who works for a public cloud vendor. But I'm definitely seeing cracks in Azure and the services that come from Azure.
And to add to that, I think not just in cloud services, but in general, I think we will see some backlash on all this, quick ramp up, that we are making very fast decisions, and I'm sure there will be some security threats and risk which only will expose within a few months. So even though it's good that we can move to cloud services and they're elastic, it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this will evolve, and how good our decision has been when they're taking under pressure. So I think it's a good tip for all organizations. Prepare this for for the next breakout, whatever that's going to be. So look at your business continuity and be prepared for those scenarios.
So from my perspective, I'm sure that whatever technical challenges there are, they will be taken care of. It might take some time, but it will be fixed. What I find more interesting is many people starting to work from home now who've never done this before, at least not on a regular basis. So I'm wondering if this will really bring, a permanent mentality shift, that people will start working more and more regularly from home or from anywhere. So rather than adopting technology, adopt. And Ingmar was going to smile when I say this: work is not a place. I really hope that people are going to embrace this, and we all know that environment is a thing at the moment, and we're looking at things like electric cars, but actually if we all start working from home and not travel to the office daily, maybe that is a much easier thing to do with a much bigger impact. So if there's one thing I'm hoping for, that it's really, that whatever bad thing is happening now, that it will have a positive, lasting impact, at least on that bit.
Yep, I agree. Good, thanks. We're, I think, at the end of the hour. So great. I think I learned as well. Good to hear each other and share tips, and hopefully the attendees enjoyed it as well. Stay safe. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for
joining.
Yep, exactly.
If you have questions, just reach out. We are all online.
Yep. Sounds good. Thanks again.
Good evening.
Yep.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks.